What you doing? I'm going to talk Tanner the AC Stories with this alcohol anime. I forget what I'm doing. Okay. I think I did that before. This is the problem with drinking so much. Also, with being hungover so much. This one is. I didn't. Well, uh, this one is not one I intended to do. But because of how what happened, I'm doing one because of, well, multiple things. So I'm talking about Kiznaiver. I'll get into why. Well, no, I can get into why now. This is going to be a different one. Like I said, I didn't plan to do one, but then I was like, Kiznaiver is one of my favorite anime series. It hits hard, just life and stuff, and then I was like, I really want to talk about this. Uh, and then, like, halfway through, I was like, I'm already watching the whole thing tonight, probably. May as well do alcohol anime on it. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling drunk. Uh, that was halfway through. The other halfway through was like, oh, I fucked up. And then this morning I was like, yep. Still want to talk about it though. So I don't know if this might be the first hungover alcohol anime I've done. Um, oh, yeah, it's a rough one. Um, so yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Also, the timing worked out. I had well, this is going to be the anniversary slash birthday episode because that's coming up. I forgot about it until I was thinking about what am I going to do, when am I going to do this, because I already had something planned for this month, which I actually looking at now, going back this morning and okay, well I had that's not even going. I have to change that too, uh, and for next month. So it works out that I'm doing this anyways, which is why I'm making sure I do it now because I kind of need it now. Oh, but I went into this completely unprepared. I didn't have a drink ready. I didn't take notes because I didn't think about this until halfway through. Um, I'm going to be foggy on it. I've rewatched this. This is either the third or fourth time. At least third, maybe a fourth. I may have snuck it in there somewhere too. So I generally know what happened. Of course, I just watched it last night, but as kind of kept going, is kind of getting blurry. So hopefully, as I talk about it, it will clear up more. Um, yeah. So, um, alcohol and anime. Alcohol first. Here is what I don't have alcohol. I drink a bunch. But within in the by the first two episodes, I had already finished a bottle of wine. Um, which is what had me feeling already pretty good. But I think I drank it so fast it didn't hit completely yet. Because by the time I finished two ciders, just a can of two cans of cider, that's when I was like, oh. And then I was like, well, this is what I'm going to do for the podcast. So let's keep going hard. So then I had some moonshine. Terrible moonshine. Absolutely terrible. I had it because I was going to do a different. Uh, I guess I was going to do Chainsmoker's Cat because that was going to be coming out. I thought it was a film. I don't know why. I thought I looked it up and I thought it was going to be a film. No, it's a series, so I can't even do that. I still have it, so and I used it for this. Anyway, it's just because it's all I had available. I had a lot of it. It sucks. It's terrible moonshine. It's just tastes like the worst whiskey you think of because I mean moonshine is just unaged whiskey, but this was I've had moonshine before and this was just terrible. Like not it's not even the burn. It's like the actual taste of it was just awful. Um, Now I've had some of the flavor moonshines of this company. Have I? I think I've had some of the sipping creams. Was this the same company? I don't remember. Usually I get Sugarlands. This was like Old Smokies or something, which is why I got it because of the name. So I had that. Tastes terrible. Tried mixing it with like Dr. Pepper. That was still not great. Then I was like, I have more cider. That was also that was even worse. It was at least drinkable. So yeah, I really slowed down once the moonshine came into play. It's probably I don't I can't even like trace it back to what was because it really wasn't that much moonshine. Um, like shit, I just did like a splash. Also, and I'm sure went on this rant or tangent before. Mason jars are the worst thing to try to pour from. Holy shit! The first time I tried pouring for this moonshine, I'm pretty sure there was more that spilled on the counter and floor than I actually drank. Which it wasn't a lot, but it still was probably more than fucking. I don't know. That pissed me off. I think mason jars are meant to be drank straight from, or to store like pickle stuff in, not to pour from. They're terrible for that. But I keep getting them because sometimes they are good. This one wasn't. So that's what I had. In total, it was a bottle of wine, 3 ciders, and moonshine. A mix of moonshine and Dr. Pepper, if you count that. Just sugar, really. Sugar is what really fucks people up, stomach-wise. At least me, I guess. So what is that? 1, 3... moonshine, Dr. Pepper. And then this morning, I'm just drinking some tea. Some kind of mint tea. So that's 7 things, technically, I drink involving this podcast, in this episode. I don't know. Here's what I'm going to do. Technically, well, there's 7 main characters connected by the Kiznaiver, if you don't count Nori. Which I'm not, because that's just not how this is going to work. I have done. They're based off 7 Deadly Sins, of course, kind of. The one of those tropes that barely matters in this. It's brought up a few times, but it really doesn't matter that much. It's just because, for some reason, Japanese creators get a hard on for the 7 Deadly Sins trope or whatever. So, I'll take what I just drank, and I'm going to compare it. There was the bottle of wine. I'm going to start with the easiest one. The moonshine. Just awful moonshine. Dang, I don't know, actually. Here, because there's 2 things. There's Hisomu, who likes pain and stuff. The problem is this wasn't really painful. It was just gross, nasty. So there's Maki, who kind of just has a bad attitude. But then I would want to put the tea with that. Oh, okay. Because moonshine, people were just like, oh, the pain of it, blah blah blah. I am going to give it to Hisomu. And even though the wine will make more sense color wise, it was just a sweet red. Talking about the wine, I'm going to give that one to Yuta, actually, because I don't. It's just like the ladies, whatever. Always. Also, I'm looking up. I see here a list of how they match up with the sins. I don't agree with them. These are a stretch, really, for most of them. So yeah, I won't do that. I'm not going to talk about how they match up with the sins because they're stupid and don't make sense. I can kind of see the stretch, but also not really. This would be like a new 7 Deadly Sins, not comparing them to their old ones. But yeah, Yuta would get the wine, just kind of like always, kind of being with like the ladies or whatever. It'll be a kind of ladies man. Then that leaves Dr. Pepper and tea and cider. So I have a pineapple guava cider. I'm giving that to Tenga because Tenga's my favorite characters, and this is one of my favorite ciders. So, also it kind of just matches vibe wise with the look of the can and appearance. I'll have a, I don't know, I might post this somewhere. The pick of what I drink. Now, the tea one is what I'm trying to decide. Is it could either be Monkey, kind of like just has that being a manga creator, I don't know if that's a tea thing, or kind of besides that, a more boring or toned down aesthetic, despite the attitude. But then Nico has more of the like, this is some kind of mint tea. It's really a lot of things in it, florally stuff like that too. So, do I have enough stuff? I don't know actually who I would give what to based off that. Then a berry. I have a berry, and then I have like a peach. Is that one's that? I've drank a lot in this past few things. Let me look at my little collection here. So yeah, the berry smash and a peach rush. Peach. Oh, I guess who's getting peach is Maki, because Maki is the most physically endowed one. So you get peach, and because I'm not really that crazy about peaches anyways. Peach flavor thing. So you get that. Nico can have the tea. So then that leaves a berry and a Dr. Pepper. I'll give Kazuhira the Dr. Pepper because it's whatever. It's just a soda. Not one I care that much for either. It's just I had it because I get them. I don't get them. Someone else gets them, and I just will take them extras when I feel like it. They're given to me pretty much. And then of course that leaves Chidori with the berry smash. That's kind of fitting. I think it's the colors are throwing me off. I'm trying to fit stuff with colors, and that's just not how this is working. But I guess it works out, I guess. Okay. So that's, compared to what I just drank, that's what they're getting. And actually, some of it works out pretty well. I feel like the wine, like a wine kind of thing, works well with Yuta. But if you actually talk more character and more history and all that, kind of being like it used to be a fat kid and now this, something desserty probably. Oh, there's dessert wines. Something like that would be nice. Like actually I have one of those dessert wines. It's a coconut one. I used it for Chainsaw Man. But I don't like that one. But there's like chocolate dessert wines. I've used them before. Something like that would work great. If I was to do Sonozaki free blend, it's kind of keep that sophisticated, whatever. I would probably do like a decent little wine or something. Not wine, whiskey. Like a, not cheap whiskey, but nothing too fancy. And then old fashioned? Yeah, maybe. No. I don't know. Something like, nah, it'll be pretty subtle. So, yeah. So, yeah. Something just pretty basic, subtle. Something that does seem more sophisticated. That's why I say kind of like a, maybe wine isn't subtle enough. What's something more, I don't want to say fancy, but seemingly sophisticated. Yeah, I mean, a wine would be fine. Not wine. I keep saying wine. A wine maybe would be fine. Just like I have a Riesling. No, let's do. Moscato? Maybe? That's too sweet. But yeah, something like that. Are they all just wines? Yeah, they're all just wines. Different kinds of wine. I could see Nico being like a pink Moscato, very whatever. Also, kind of a rich kid, so. Tengu kind of be a Melbeck. Some of them aren't that harsh. Yeah, just a bunch of different things. But yeah, that's it. I paired them up. I could make a whole like this is a best drink or do that one. Not feeling it that much, and also, I kind of done that with the whole 7 concept before, so I don't really need to do it again. Also, I mean they're all. I mean, I felt like what I gave them is pretty good, anyways. They're fun enough. So, let's talk about actual Kiznaiver, because that's really what I want to talk about. Kizunaībā is an anime that I felt like never got the attention it deserved, and Crunchyroll actually tried to make it get some attention. It just didn't work out for some reason. Kiznaiver is like the Crunchyroll original before they were actually had a Crunchyroll original line. And apparently there was a manga too. I don't know. It was 2016. Was it 2016? Yeah, I guess it was. Huh. It felt longer ago, but maybe not. So it's about 10 years. Oh shit! This can be 10-year anniversary of Kiznaiver. I wish I would have done it in June then. Nah, because that's when it ended. But, so, this is, it was made by Studio Trigger and Aniplex, Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll did a lot of marketing on it. If you go on Crunchyroll and look, you can see there's like a whole nother tab for like talking about the voice actors and behind the scenes stuff and all that. They put a lot into this, and it's a shame it never got the attention it deserves because it is good. I mean, animation wise, it's Studio Trigger. I think what hurts it sometimes is trying to force it into the 12 episode season. That it's because it feels like it could have been a little longer. I'm glad it wasn't a movie, at least, because there's still a lot more. But also, it might just... Well, the ending does feel kind of abrupt, and maybe it's supposed to. There is some time that passes by in it that makes sense based off of what happened to the characters, so I can't complain about that too much. But it just feels like it escalates way so fast at the end. Yeah, so yep. But yeah, animation wise, I like the style of it. It has a pretty unique style, but I think one that also you could probably pick out as Studio Trigger. It aired on Crunchyroll on April 10th, 2016 to June 26th, 2016. I mean, there's all kinds of credits for it. Directed by Hiroshi Kobayashi. I don't recognize most of the names. Written by Mari Okada. Music by Yuki Hayashi, which I actually, aside from the opening and ending, I don't remember much music sticking out in this. But the opening, I forgot how much I loved. As far as rewatching a series or binging a series, this is probably the most time I watched the opening and ending. Like, I hardly skipped the opening, and I didn't even skip the ending every time. But it's good. I need to look and see who did that. Character designs by Shiro Miwa. I like the character designs. That's probably one of the coolest things. Tenga is one of my like goal cosplays. I just wish I was a little scrawnier. I have the height. I actually probably have the hair. I would have to dye it, which if I can commit and do the rest of it. And the outfit isn't that crazy to do. The shoes might be the hardest part, but the rest is pretty recognizable if you've seen the show. The glasses might be a little work, but the shirt and pants are pretty. You just need to do some basic designing on that. The little bear design on the front, but yeah, just need like a yellow V-neck, kind of like dark jeans, which I might already have, and then just mess with like belt. The shoes are going to be the hardest part, and the hair. But I have the length in the hair. I just need to style it like that and then dye it. Unless I found a wig, but I don't know how wigs exactly work when you already have long hair like I do. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, character designs. Okay, so there's that. But yeah, does pretty well as a contained story. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It just feels like it was so abrupt. But I think that's how it needed to be. I feel like if you tried doing it a different way, it also wouldn't land right. It's just, endings are always not great. I don't know, like, having to stop something is always weird. So yeah, also apparently there's a manga, which I never knew, and apparently it was done by Crunchyroll, which is also really surprising because at this time Crunchyroll still had their manga, the previous iteration of their manga app. I don't remember seeing this manga on there at all. It was published by ASCII. Is that a word or a ASCII? Really? That's how it's pronounced? ASCII? Huh. Weird. But yeah. I never saw it, but a manga written by Roji Karegishi. I wonder if I could find it. In the Dengeki Mo magazine. It ran for 2 volumes. Whoa, January, February, March, April. It started before the anime came out. Like 2 weeks before the anime. Which I know they did, but I just didn't know that they did this. They do that sometimes. And then there was a mini Kiznaiver theater, written by S. Kasugi, published by Kadokawa Shoten. Also, English publisher was Crunchyroll. That was just 1 volume from April 27th, 2016 to June 26th. So this started just after and ended just after the anime. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, it's just so confusing to me. And back in 2016, I really wasn't on the internet at all. I think sometimes I would post on Facebook, and that was it. I hardly watch YouTube. Like, I didn't really start watching YouTube stuff until 2018. It was like my second year in Hawaii, doing my master's. I will watch some. Every now and then. So technically, yeah, just every now and then. But it wasn't like I was always watching something on YouTube like I kind of do or did now. It was like, every now I'll find something, turn it on, or somebody will show me something. So I wasn't on the internet really doing anything. I only had Facebook. 2016, November 2016. Yeah, okay. November 2016 is when I started actually making other social medias for being a writer and all that stuff. So that still hadn't happened yet. Even then, I wasn't on Reddit. I wasn't on Tumblr. I wasn't on anywhere. I think all I made was Twitter and Facebook. Because I didn't start using Instagram until the summer, my first summer in Hawaii. So that would have been like 2018. So yeah, I wasn't on the internet looking at anything or doing anything. So I wouldn't have known how popular this really was. So maybe it was at the time, but it's definitely not now. I never see anyone talk about the show. And it's so good. Just the emotions in it. Part of the reason why I even picked this is just I'm not doing great. Man, I just wanted something to distraction, emphasize with, just to feel or not feel, or I just needed a reset, a good time to get drunk. Usually I do that with magicians. I just get drunk, watch the magicians, and I want to do that, but I didn't want to have to set up my Blu-ray player, because that's how I have magicians. I have physical magicians, and I've been wanting to rewatch this anyways. So I was like, I'll go ahead and do it. So that's what I did, and I'm glad I did. Rewatching again after doing it a couple times already, I get to see how some of the the big thing is how the relationships build, and because at one point I was like, that doesn't really make sense. I guess it's a stretch, but when you watch it again and you can pick up on all this stuff, it's like, oh yeah. Then there's just stuff I forgot and all that, but I want to go through each episode, but that's a lot of episodes, or 12, and then there's a lot to say. I'll try to go over them briefly and pick out what kind of happens, because the main ones I want to talk about is near the end of the series, and the whole reason I keep rewatching this. I rewatched that scene many times, or episode or whatever, so I've seen that one plenty. And I'll say, it doesn't hit as much. Maybe it's because I was just out of it. I think I would tip... Because back when I first watched this, I was kind of in a similar state. I was drinking a lot more back then, though. But apparently, when I watched it, I was also watching it weekly. So I probably wasn't as drunk the first time I watched this, since I was just watching just this episode. But this time, I think I just hit a tipping point to where it was like, oh, I'm too drunk to get hit by this now. So, I don't know if there's really any point in going episode by episode. I will say the episode titles, I didn't realize this at any point while watching it. Episode titles are amusing, long titles. So one, sometimes a bond can bloom from the first day eye contact is made. It's like, okay, well, it's first episode, you get a long one. Second one, if you can swallow a bizarre situation like this so easily, 2 buckets of barium shouldn't be a problem. 3, depending on how you look at it, I think we could get through anything, right? 4, now that we're all connected, let's all get to know each other. K, 5, woo, it's a training camp. Let's step in deer poop and have pillow fights. Go. So they're all just kind of like that. And then, I think the one I'm going to talk about most is It's All Over, I think. That's the one. That's episode 9. And then 12 is the only one that makes sense as a title, really, is If Kizna's System Spread Throughout the World. It's just that. So... 8 also just hits. Happy times don't tend to last very long. That one's just like, fuck, dude. Yeah. Just because what happens in them. So I don't really need to go through each episode. I'll just go over briefly. And then once I hit the spot I really want to hit, I'll do that. So, let's talk about the Kizna system. So, 12 years ago, they try to link a bunch of kids together to help them feel each other's pain, understand pain and emotions and stuff like that, but it ended up mainly only focusing on pain because that's apparently easier to feel. Yeah. And then that went bad. We kind of get hint at it throughout this. I just realized I'm wearing headphones, but I'm not listening to anything. I don't know why I'm doing that. And so it didn't go great. And I think it's pretty obvious that Nori and Katsuhiro were part of that. I don't think it's a surprise when it's revealed later that, oh yeah, you're part of it. It's like, yeah, no duh. Yeah, now it's been 12 years, they're grown up. Katsuhiro doesn't really have emotions much. Doesn't really express anything. Doesn't feel pain. Supposedly childhood friend Chidori. Is there kind of watching over Katsuhiro, but there was really never any proof they were childhood friends, because it seemed like as a kid, like there are young kids. Let's see, they're about 17, at least Nico says, but they're second year in high school, which is, their high schools only do 3 years. But yeah, they did that. So 17, there'd be about like 5. Okay, I don't know what kind of childhood Chidori remembers, because Chidori tells us, you used to be all blah 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 and all happy go lucky blah blah blah. Like really, and yeah, Katsuhiro probably was. You saying you're after 12 years that's what you're remembering? This has been 12 years of Katsuhiro being like this. So that part doesn't really make any sense. The other thing about this series is it never shows the parents. I don't think it shows any of the main cast parents. I don't think it shows any. I think it only shows like adults like a handful of times at all in this. I just realized. Weird. But yeah, it's just a weird thing with Chidori. Like, that would be like me as a high schooler trying. I don't know. It's weird. That part makes no sense. And we never see their parents. But there is a point in the original Kiznaiver experiment or whatever. Kizna experiment. All the kids were from either researchers there or children of sponsors. I have a feeling it's the same thing with the 7 that get picked here. Is they were all their parents also kind of let it happen, like they know it's happening and let it happen. Because we never see any of them. We don't know like what they're actually thinking or talking about. But they're referenced some, especially Nico's parents. Katsuhiro keeps saying the parents are just out working somewhere. We don't know anything about any of the others. The only parents we meet is from a character who's dead. Actually, I just realized that. We don't even see the actual character except for flashbacks. Hallucinations, I guess. And we meet those parents. That's, it was like Ruzu or something. Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, so Katsuhiro is picked on. Chidori keeps being like, you should do something about it. Doesn't. And then we're introduced to Tenga, who comes and rescue Katsuhiro from two other like high school, two bullies. I don't remember their name. I don't know. They must have names. Yeah. And do they have names? They might not have names. No, they must have names. I don't know. Weird. Let me see if I can find names. Gold Marine. Yeah, that's funny. They might not have names. Which seems crazy if they don't. There's an official website? Oh, shit. That's cool. There's an official Kiznaiver website. I don't know how I didn't find that before. I'm trying to look into this stuff. When was the last time this was updated, though? Probably. It's also in Japanese, so that's not going to help anything. There's an Instagram. It probably hasn't been updated since the show came out. Yeah. Yeah, like... Wait, what was that? People is... What would season 2 be? I don't know. This is why I try not to look at comments and stuff. What was I saying? This is a rough one. This is why you still do them drunk. So yeah, Tenga comes being the actual saver. Really just ready to fight and protect Katsuhiro for real. And then they're kind of kidnapped. And then we get glimpses at the other characters for a bit, but they're all eventually just kidnapped, except for Katsuhiro, who talks to Nori, or should I say Sonozaki? Nori, Sonozaki. And so they're all taken away, and then eventually after talking, Nori pushes Katsuhiro down some stairs, and then that's when they realize that's the example Nori uses when explaining the Kizna system to him, how their pain is shared amongst them, and that's how Katsuhiro was able to be fine. And it's like, oh, okay, so now they're in this facility, and they're just done with it. Kids trying to leave. And then this is where they're kind of given a mission. Katsuhiro is strapped down and is getting shocked. So, of course, when Katsuhiro gets shocked, they all get shocked. But now the first mission is self-introductions. And it's not just like, I'm blah, blah, blah in this class. Here's a horoscope bullshit, all that stuff. That, like, it's the secrets that you don't want to tell. And they're childish, mostly. But, like, they're nothing, like, that deep. It was like, Tenga is afraid of dogs. And it's like, okay. Who goes by, like, Mad Dog. And is still somehow so afraid of dogs that mapped out routes and stuff to avoid any dog. And, of course, there's a funny scene of, like, two dogs. I forget the breed's name. It's not popping in my head. It's the ones that if you take a dachshund and turn it into a real dog. Oh, why can't I think of them? The ones that aren't pit bulls or Rottweilers, but also canes? I don't know. Let's leave in my head. But yeah, those come out and they try to look scary, but then they just go and lick Tenga and all that and be cute. Then... Oh, here's another thing about Tenga. My favorite character, but Tenga was a lot more pervy than I remember. Very, not actually doing anything, but very threatening to do things. They discover their pain the first time because Tenga is talking about groping Nico, and then Nico slaps Tenga. That's when everyone figures out. But as far as I remember, Tenga never actually does anything. But yeah. Oh, and then Nico's doesn't actually believe in fairies. Just it's all an act because Nico's rich and wanted to seem different and all that stuff. And yeah, there's all that. It's like, okay, well that's not really that big of a deal at all. Really, the thing about Nico that's most annoying is just talks like a child. It tries to be, and yeah, they're all children, but this is like tiny child, like just learning to speak type child. I don't like that. Then Yuto's used to be fat. That's it. They see was like a fat kid model, something like that. Cheateries, we get to later. Who else? Also this whole time the only one who's missing is Hisomu. Also, you probably watch it, so you know what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to talk about the things that stuck out to me. Kizunaībā, of course, we don't see any self-introduction of. And it goes on a bit. There's a part where Chidori's honestly probably the worst character in this. Just the most boring. It's the goody two-shoes type character, but really just doesn't do anything. I don't understand that much why Tenga likes Chidori. It's probably more just a physical thing than actual learning anything. It's just like, oh, you're around somebody, you kind of just start liking them kind of deal, which is fine. That works too, but it just didn't feel deserved. It doesn't really hint at it as much as it does with Nico and Tenga, because you start seeing some of that and why Nico would start liking Tenga, but you don't really see Tenga and Chidori. But yeah, Chidori was just like, I don't really know, and then that's acceptable for some bullshit. But eventually it comes out later. So time moves on a bit. Then they find their way out. Katsuhiro actually tries to do one, which is like, I think it was like just not being able to feel and understand people and all that stuff and blah whatever, and is wanting to. I don't think Katsuhiro even needed to do one, but then we finally get Chidori's, which was just liking Katsuhiro, which, yeah, I already kind of complained about their relationship or whatever. And then finally, Maki, who just went off alone and disappeared, and it's kind of like that for most of this, finally shows up at the end and is like, I killed someone. It's like, oh, and it's like, JK, whatever, dumb pieces of shit. And that was their introductions. That's how we get started. It's big, it's deep, kind of. The animation of when they get hurt really gets you. It's like they animate it, and the sound, how they do it, is just, yeah, you understand it. You can feel it. If you have a little drunkenness in you and it catches you off guard, it's like, oh, I guess almost disorienting in a way. So yeah, it moves on. That's the next kind of mission is they go and find Hisomu, who just loves pain, physical pain, and keeps getting hurt, so they keep getting hurt, of course. Eventually they narrow Hisomu down, and now they're part of a group. Just more time passing, more little missions. I think after this, once we get to the camp, is when the drunkenness really starts kicking in. But it's like the two bullies from before are there to cause problems. They were connected by a Kizuna for the two of them. Oh, and this whole time, I kind of already mentioned it, but there's the Gomarine, which are like these big mascot things. They add a bunch of humor and silliness to this, which, I don't know, it's just funny. There's a good bit of humorousness to this throughout that I like, because it does feel heavy, but if it was just too heavy the whole time, it would kind of just drag on or whatever. So they add a little bit of lightness and humor. That's nice. But yeah, these two bullies dresses that, and they're just there to cause problems. They're trying to expand it from just physical pain to being able to feel emotions too, and stuff like that. So like Chidori gets separated and like kidnapped by one of them, and the rest of them go hunting and looking for Chidori, and it's fine. They find, yeah. So, but through this, they're able to track Chidori down because they keep feeling like the feelings or whatever. And I'm trying to remember if there's any developments on the actual Kizna side. Not yet, really. That's fine. But then the next one revolves around Maki. And we finally get that. I'm trying to remember if there's anything significant with Chidori while being kidnapped. I really don't remember anything. Like, yeah, I just don't remember anything really coming out of that. I'm trying to see if I can remember anything. I don't know. Oh, there's two others there that help out, two adults, and they're helping out Nori. I'm kind of all over. I feel like this is when they start coming even more into play. But one is Yamada Kuzunao, who is their teacher, but it's kind of like really have a antagonistic attitude the whole time. And throughout this, you feel like it's just Yamada doing her own thing just for amusement, but it's actually, let me just say, it's actually like a very dedicated loyalty to Nori and really wanting to get those results, because we also see the other adult in question, Urushibara, who's like the school nurse or counselor or something like that, and seems to really be the one who is behind Nori and supportive and wanting the best. But the thing is, you realize later, it kind of twists that Urushi is really just wanting the best for Nori. So even though it seems like they're kind of working together, mainly those two are the ones doing it and everything. Urushi's really just looking out for Nori. It's really Yamada who is the one really dedicated to doing what Nori wants. And we see that in the very end. And the whole time they're also trying to like pitch this idea, the Kizna system, everything to the mayor. So that's kind of what's going on in the background while the main cast. But that part is like, it's important. It's the whole premise of the show, but really just following the main 7 is, I think, what people would care about more. So after their training camp, it's Maki's turn. And Maki's really the one we get the most backstory for of anyone, which is feels like such a stretch considering Maki was the one wanting to stay separated from everyone. But we really learn nothing else about Chidori unless there was something in the camp I'm forgetting. We never learn anything about Tanga. The only thing we know about Nico is rich and like the dad's a doctor. Yuta just used to be a fat child model. We learned nothing about Hisomu at all. So yeah, now we get Maki, who was a middle schooler mangaka with someone else named Ruru or Ruri or something like that. And they made a very like kind of dark and emotional manga when they were in middle school under the pen name Charles Making. So I never knew how to actually pronounce it, but I'm sure it's a play on Maki's words or mucking. But then Ruri dies. Names. I told you I don't have notes, and I'm already bad at names. Yeah. Ruru. So it is Ruru. And yeah, Ruru dies from kidney disease. Hey, that's what my dog was dying of. Years ago. I'm not saying Ruru's a dog, but just this one's a stretch too. It's one of those things where like they really trying to make you feel sorry for a character or make the character just be sad, but then it's like I can't really empathize with that. And maybe it's just a trauma of losing like one of your best friends, and you twisting what actually happened, and not your fault or whatever. But this one was like a stretch, saying like you killed Ruru, but I don't know. So there's this whole thing. They're wanting to turn the manga into like some kind of production, anime or movie or I don't know. So there's like producers and interview people harassing Maki. This is where we see Yuta trying to come and help, and they get closer. All of them. So they get a mission to save Maki, and they do from the reporter, but that's not enough. But time passes, they're persevering, pressing on. It's really mainly Yuta doing most of the work, but yeah, they go meet Maru's parents. That doesn't go well. Then, just as time passes, a little bit of time, Yuta is able to really make Maki read the manga, because apparently Maki never read the end of it, which makes no sense, and it hits home to Maki how Ruru really felt, because the story was like a love between a female student and a female teacher that couldn't happen, and then it kind of parallel with how Ruru felt about Maki. So Maki finally reads it. The rest of the kids are like at the beach doing fireworks, which I was watching this on 4th of July, bullshit kind of day to celebrate. And then they're doing fireworks, and what chance. Yeah, and then Maki is like, well, what can we do to help you feel better or whatever, or something like that. Maki's like, brown ocean, and they're like, but it's dark and that's dangerous, because Chidori's annoying. And then Yuta's just like, fuck it, and runs, and like, as someone who's never ran before, which I actually saw someone run in a similar way this past weekend at a 5K. I wasn't running the 5K. I was just there. And I saw someone run just like this, and I was like, holy shit. I almost stopped it just to get this clip and send it, show someone else. But, yeah. And then everyone runs out in the ocean, except for Maki, who just stays and watches, and then eventually, they feel better. And then this is one thing I kind of really like about Kiznaiver, is it's not just suddenly like, oh, you made Maki happy, now you're all going to be best friends. Maki is still apprehensive about being part of the group. Tries, but is never fully convinced, and we see that later. But yeah, it finally looks like, though, they are officially a group all together, and this has been over halfway through the series. But this is where we get to episode 8, like I was talking about, where good things don't last long, and things are going to go bad. So they're still trying to hang out. It's starting to rain and stuff, and the typhoon's coming. Of course, the background people have plans to try to mess with them. But they're all just hanging out, even in the rain, taking pictures and stuff. Mainly, Nico's really the driving force behind this. It's the best part about Nico. But of course, they're kidnapped again and taken, I guess, to the school. In the middle of the night, typhoon's coming. Yamada stalls them just enough to tell them more things about the Kizuna system that they mostly already knew. And then leaves, and they get another mission, was to get home safe after the typhoon passes. So they have to spend the whole night in school. But of course, that's not enough. This is my favorite part of the series, because this is when it really starts to really fuck with you. It hurts. Nico wants to, not Nico. I mean, yeah, Nico's part of it too, but Nori kind of wants to be part of it too. So leaves. We see an underground tunnel with the train and everything, a whole system that leads to the school that was secret now, and then lifts up into underneath a statue or whatever. I'll get to that in a bit. But the Gorumin are pretty much intentionally splitting them up. We see it happens because Yamada is directing them to mess with their love lives, is what the main point of this mission was. So split them up, try getting them to feel love is what one of them wanted, but Yamada, I think, kind of twisted it, just wants to mess with them to feel things. So they're just trying to really get those love emotions out and make them feel them, but it goes bad. Mainly thanks to Nori, or showing up, and then Katsuhira goes off to find Nori, and this is when Katsu is really getting some of the old Kizuna effects of everything, starting to mess up stuff, and then Chidori is upset by that and tries to stick with them. The whole love thing is really working out, mainly with this square, this love square. They know that Yuta has a thing for Maki, but Maki doesn't really feel anything yet for Yuta, so they're kind of just there and separated, but it's really no focus on them. Hisomu's just there too, just loves pain. But they're kind of just running around in this typhoon in the background, emotions getting stronger. There are a lot of focus on Katsuhira, the girl marine, or just being themselves, or just messing with things. It's just so funny. They are probably one of the best parts of this show. And then you start to kind of see the confessions coming out. Katsuhira is finally getting close to Nori. They're watching on screen as they're talking about the past and what happened, and then they run off to, Tenga is getting upset at Katsuhira because Tenga's seeing Chidori get upset, which upsets Tenga, so Tenga goes to try to confront them, and then they all eventually go. Nico's like, you need to go and come get hurt properly, and all this stuff, just to be there. And it's like, oh. So they go, and then when they finally get to the gym where they're at, Of course, Chidori sees Katsuhiro hugging Nori, and then that's like, oh, so sad. So Chidori runs off, then Tango makes Katsuhiro be like, go after Chidori. And I was like, what? Why don't just do it? And then goes, and then Nico's there and getting sad. And I think it was Nori reveals that Nico likes Tenga too, and Nico gets embarrassed by that and runs off. And then they're telling Tenga to go after Nico, just like Tenga said to Natsuhiro, and he's like, what? Why? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, what am I going to do or say, or what's the point? It's like, Tenga really just didn't understand that Nico had a crush. Which, yeah. So, all that is like building, and then all of a sudden, they hear a voice. They saying, hold me. And we see Katsuhiro caught up to Chidori, and Chidori's like, let go of me, blah, 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 let go. But then the inside, the voice in Chidori's heart is like, hold me. And everyone's confused by it, and Nori realizes, oh, he can finally hear the voice. So they're doing that, and it just keeps repeating. It's like that whole like pain thing, and it's like disoriented. It's the storm. I'm just really drunk every time I watch this, and it's like, damn. And it's hold me, and it's like let go. But inside it's like hold me, and then eventually Katsuhiro brings Chidori in and holds Chidori, and then Chidori's inside heart is like, you're terrible. Why would you do that? And it's like, what the fuck? What is this bipolar bullshit? I think I'm starting to feel better now, because this is my favorite part. Nico ran off and was hiding in like this supply closet under stuff, upset at himself for being like, oh, I wasn't embarrassed, so embarrassed. But then once the hold me comes in, instead of Tango going after Nico, Tango goes after Chidori and Katsuhiro again, gets there, everyone's chasing after Tango. I think Nori just fucks off. I don't think Nori is around anymore. I don't remember. But yeah, Tango starts beating up Katsuhiro for some reason. It's like, what are you doing to Chidori? And it's like, really? And people, Yuta's trying to stop Tango, and it's all that. And then, yeah, inside the heart. And then what really fucks me up is when Nico comes back out. And it's like, if you don't want him, give him to me. And like talking about the Chidori, but it's the voice inside the heart. And then everyone just starts popping off with like heart voices. And then it gets bad. And it's just like compounds on each other. It's like once one person's hurt, then the other person's hurt, and then it's just like a spiral. And everyone just collapses and like, it hurts, the pain. And then they're doing all that, and Katsuhiro just not understanding really what's going on. I think this is where Katsuhiro can't understand their pain anymore. Like, was getting some of it at some point, but then it's just like, oh, this is like, you feeling pain, is this because of me, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, no, it's like, I can't feel, I don't understand, something like that. And then one of the last two collapses, Hisomu, who's like, no, this is whatever. And then Hisomu finally falls. And then they all just like that. And then the storm finally passes. They stayed out in a typhoon, laying on the ground in pain for an entire night of a typhoon. And it's just like, holy shit. And then they're there. Yurushi shows up and is like, you fine? It's like, hell no. We're fucked up. I was like, yeah, you are. And it's just like, it was a lot. It was a lot to go on. It was just a scene I think about a lot. And it's like, damn. But yeah, and then they go their separate ways. They make it through the rest of the summer without talking to anyone. No one getting any kind of pain, apparently. And then at the end of the summer, it's gone. Hisomu's been staying with Katsuhiro. So they're still there. And then, you know, they finally go back to school. Yeah. Kizna's gone. They realize that Yamda trips Tengu, and that's how you know for sure it's gone. None of them react to any kind of pain. And this is Tengu's walking out, hands in pockets, going to the bathroom because Yamato is being antagonistic as fuck. Like, pretty much just really just trying to poke at all of them, talking about asking the class how their summers were, and it's like, if this kind of thing happened, this kind of happened, and it's all the bad things that happened to the main group. And it's just like shit. But yeah, Hisomu's also going to school. Really, this whole thing probably works out best for Hisomu. It brought them together as like friends and stuff, but like they were all, for the most part, they were already kind of fine. Maybe it helped Maki with some trauma, but for the rest of them, and Katsuhiro kind of understands, and Nori, I guess, too. But it probably helped Hisomu the most, because Hisomu is going to school now and doing all this, has friends and whatever. But yeah, the summer's over. They're released, but the story's not over yet. Not yet, at least. Because now it's like investigation time. Katsuhiro's trying to figure out what's going on with the old system, and Nori. Nico is still trying to be friends with people, and it ends up like the main trio we followed for a good bit is Katsuhiro, Nico, and Hisomu. They Katsuhiro feels something, and it's because Nori tried to jump again, because it turns out the mayor's going to cancel the whole program. So Nori's going to try to prove a point, but collapsed instead. Katsuhiro remembers the tunnel that popped up, so the three of them go to try to find Nori and all this, and then they learn more about what happened, and how the whole system was like. There was 20 kids, all connected, but Nori for some reason was the one taking everyone's like pain and stuff, and it got so bad that even the slightest impacts or stuff would cause Nori pain because it was amplified. So even stuff like the impact of walking or wind hitting, stuff like that, it was amplified to Nori. So Nori took everyone's pain to the point that all the children pretty much lost their pain, except for they try to fix it, and released who was still able to remotely function back out into the wild, which is Katsuhiro was one of them that got released. Of the other 19 besides Nori, and I guess 18 besides Katsuhiro, 5 of them, I guess, was beyond repair. I guess it had to stay in this facility, and so I guess the main friends. But yeah, Nori is still getting all that pain, even now, even after 12 years, even though they kept saying, oh, Kizuna can't last more than a summer, it's just a temporary thing. Apparently, whatever Nori has, it isn't like that. So Nori's having to constantly take, like, I guess, painkillers or something to block all that. So that's why Nori seems so, emotionless and bland or deadpan. But really, Nori got the best out of it, because Nori gets that, and it just still went on to seem a normal life. We see Nori playing piano, still is a student, which we, and doing all that just seems the same as Katsuhiro, but different. Because can do emotions and stuff, but that's blocked off medically. And while we see the other 5, and they are almost just like dolls, just sitting there, like creepy, drugged out, like, even though they're not drugged, but they seem like they don't do anything. It's like they can even really see what's in front of them. One was eating snacks, so they're not completely like gone, but by the end they do get better, because after this, the group really isn't getting back together until the very end. But Nori is like, well, fuck this. I'm going to connect everyone. I'm going to save them. If I just connect everyone, somehow it'll work out. So it does that. So now we get the Dark Gomarine, and it's the funniest fucking thing ever. If it wasn't so, like, intense and was like trying to pull on emotions and stuff. It'll be one of the funniest anime episodes ever. But yeah, Nori's trying to connect everyone. The two bullies, they came back. They got connected again so that Nori would take the pain, and then trying to mess with Tango, but Tango's like, well, you're fucking idiots. Just because you can't feign doesn't mean I can't still beat your ass. And does. And strips him for some reason. Or maybe they strip themselves to show the scar. I don't know. But it's proceeding. We see throughout the town there's these dark Gomarines going and trying to kidnap people or do that. And then they're like fighting off against the normal Gomarines. And Yamna's leading all the dark ones. And it's just funny. Then big is somewhat anticlimactic, but not. I guess some of this doesn't make sense. I guess Nori was wanting to connect the world, but also wanted to cut off the rest of the world from where they're at because they raise the bridges. One side gets blown up, which big domestic terrorist shit. After this whole thing, you think there would be repercussions, but it doesn't look like there was. And now Katsuhira is going to try to save Nori and has Urushi, so they steal a police car and drive up the bridge, crash it, lodge it so that Katsuhira can climb up. Big emotional speech or whatever. And then, like, they fall off the bridge or something and they get hurt, but they don't die, and yeah. I mean, everything turns out fine. Yeah. But then they finally confess and like each other, and then I guess they start dating. Like I said, no repercussions for anything. Everything just turned out fine. Besides them being hurt and in the hospital, the rest of the group they got back together to also try to go help, but it really didn't do much. But now we just kind of wind down to see the end of the show, which is nice. We get a little wind down. They're trying to hang out more. Yuta and Maki are kind of being coupley. Like, also, Maki seems to be coming around to Yuta. And there's a scene of, like, trying to feed... I think it was a crepe, like a cream crepe or something. Maki takes a bite and is like, I'm done with this. And Yuta's like, you only took a bite. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe I'm just trying to fatten you back up to keep the ladies away from you. And then... he was like, you want me for my body? So there's that kind of flirting going on. And then Chidori, Tenga, Nico, and Hisomu were supposed to hang out. But Nico and Hisomu are late, so it's just Chidori and Tenga chilling, waiting for them. But then there's like some kind of confessions going on like that. Like, well... they're talking about confessions, not actually confessing, and then it turns out Nico and Hisomu are spying on them from up above, and Nico's like, I gotta let this happen, that way we can fight it out equally later, and I'm not gonna give up on Tenga. And it's like, oh, good sport about it, I guess, but it's still weird. It still makes no sense that Tenga and Chidori would be together, but Chidori has kind of accepted that Katsuhira and Nori are going to date because they all go to the hospital together to visit, and we see that, and Chidori's still just embarrassed by seeing all of that, and they're saying how they're actually friends now, or beyond friends, or they've already been friends, and all this stuff. And then Maki pulls out the photos that Nico was taking of them, and it's like, here, we have this, we're friends, yay, happy ending. And then that's kind of how it ends. So yeah, it was... this is something you gotta watch. It's hard to just like talk about too much when I'm trying to rush through just a summary of everything, and it's just really driven home by watching it, and the trigger animation and the art style and just the choreography of the pain really is what really makes this. But it's so good, especially that episode in the typhoon, and I'm glad I rewatched it. But I mean, I would say if you haven't watched it, you just heard me talk about it. So I don't know. But yeah, this was the special accidental. What is it? Is this 1 or 4. Oh, I don't even remember. I started in 2021. So this will be the 5-year anniversary of this podcast. No way. Right? It is. I think it is. Oh, damn. 5 years of this podcast? No way. Wow. You know you have to like something if you're going to keep doing something nobody listens to. Right? Damn. I'm double checking because that just seems sad, really. Was it? 4. At least 4 years. Yeah, so this is going to be the 5-year anniversary. Dang. This is going to be episode. Well, let me see. I don't know. In the 60s, I think. 60s or something. But yeah, that's. Yeah, I guess. Didn't really have alcohol. I just rewatched something I've already watched before and want to talk about it. It's a good one for the anniversary. Probably not the best way to go about it, considering how I feel, but I'm still glad I did it. But yeah, if you have already watched Kiznaiver and want to talk about it more, yeah, I could probably go and look up fan things like Reddit or something. I hate Reddit, but if you want to talk about this more with me, go ahead. Comments on social media, all that stuff. Email. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I got it. I have a month to figure out what I'm planning on doing with this, but yeah. Look out for more episodes of this. Yeah. And all that other stuff. But thanks to anyone who did listen to this. Thanks especially to my Ko-fi Patreon member, Julio Vasquez. If you also want to help support me, you can do that there and get these notes. I don't have notes for this. Never mind. You get stuff. There is stuff out there, like stories I write, other experimental stuff. A picture of my little collection while watching this. Stuff like that. But yeah, that's going to be it. Until next time, I've been your talk trainer, the AC Stories. Bye.